Hello, my name is Flo, and welcome to my channel, The Grape Jelly Library, where we love to talk about books. Today, we are going to be talking about another 5-star read. Woohoo! Don't you just love it when you invest your precious time into a book and you come out of it giving it a 5-star review? What could be better than a 5-star book? I'm telling you, brother. Today we are going to be discussing the book, The Immortal Life of Henrietta Lacks, written by Rebecca Skloot. Rebecca was sitting in class when her professor was talking about mitosis, and he wrote the name Henrietta Lacks on the blackboard. Thus began the journey and exploration into who Henrietta Lacks was and just what part she played in the field of medicine. Henrietta Lacks grew up poor on a tobacco farm, raised by her grandfather, who was also raising Henrietta's cousin, David, better known as Day. Day and Henrietta grew up sharing the day-to-day chores on a tobacco farm. They grew close and eventually ended up marrying. They went on to have 5 children. Shortly before Henrietta's 30th birthday, she was diagnosed with cervical cancer. It was during that procedure where doctors, unbeknownst to Henrietta, took her cells and put them under the microscope, where typically cells would die within a 24-hour period. However, Henrietta's cells did the opposite. They multiplied. And they multiplied and they multiplied. They multiplied so much, in fact, that if you were to put them on a scale, they would weigh as much as 100 Empire State Buildings. Henrietta left the hospital with a clean bill of health, and not long after that, started to experience symptoms again. The doctors told her there was nothing wrong and would send her home, and she would go back to the hospital where she was sent home, and this went on for a little while until the doctors delved a little bit deeper and discovered that she in fact did have cancer yet again, and this time it was inoperable. All they could basically do for Henrietta at this point was treat her to alleviate some of the pain as opposed to actually saving her life. The cancer had progressed far beyond treatment. This book is jam-packed with information that I found astonishing. One that is standing out in my mind is that when President Nixon was in office, he designated $1.5 billion to cancer research over a 3-year period and proclaimed that the cure for cancer would be discovered within a 5-year term. It was believed by many that that was just to divert the attention off of the Vietnam War. Henrietta's cells were being referred to as HeLa cells. What they typically do is they take the first 2 letters of the first name and the first 2 letters of the last name, and that is often how they name any experimental cells that they are watching. So these cells were known as HeLa cells. Many papers were written about Henrietta. However, they refer to her as every other name but Henrietta. She was known as Heather or Harriet, and that's why Not a lot was known about her at the time. It wasn't until 20 years after Henrietta's death that the family discovered what exactly the medical field was doing with these HeLa cells and how they were making millions of dollars off of them, while Henrietta's children could not even afford medical treatment for their own ailments, of which there were many. I like the way that the author has written this book. In one chapter, she is taking us into the day-to-day life of Henrietta. We get to meet her family, her brothers and sisters. We get to know what her home life was all about, what kind of caregiver she was, what kind of offspring she raised. It really makes the book more personable. In the next chapter, it takes us into the medical field. It takes us right into those labs where the research is being done. Anybody who wanted to buy a vial of HeLa cells could do so at $25 a pop, which later grew to $257 a vial, and I am sure by now it is way more than that, since the HeLa cells are the most popular cells. They are responsible for the vaccine for polio, for in vitro. They are responsible for further cancer research. They are responsible for saving the lives of millions of people. Henrietta's cells to this day are still multiplying. It is said that her cells, it's a proven fact, her cells have lived longer on this earth than poor Henrietta actually got to. This book is, like I said, beautifully written. It's tragic. It's super educational. It is out of this world good. If you have a chance to pick this book up, I strongly suggest doing so. You will not go wrong. 5 stars. Until my next video, know that I love you. Be well, be good, and be reading.